It's time now for the close with our business editor, Ross Greenwood. Ross, on the eve of the Black Friday sales, it's of course the busiest retail period of the year. Shares in Kogan have fallen to an 18-month low today. Talk us through it.
Yeah, they have the shares in Kogan down by about 4%. In fact, this year down around 52%, which really goes against the trend of just about every other retailer. You can see here what's happened is they've had an annual meeting today. So a couple of things happen. Number one, there's a second strike against the remuneration report of the executives of the company. So that's the first thing. Generally, that can lead to a spill motion. It hasn't in this case. You can see here the shares in Kogan and where they've fallen. But it's those sales and those profits. So for the 4 months to October, which is almost a little unusual in some ways. Normally companies report 3 monthly or quarterly numbers, but for 4 months they're saying their sales were up $70 million to $433 million, but the profit has fallen by $19 million or more to $12.4 million. So in other words, you've got more sales but less profit. Says something's happening in the back of that company. Earlier this year, which led to the share price fall, there have been issues in regards to overstocking it. Now, oddly, again, at this point, as Black Friday sales do start, you'd reckon that'd be good for the company because with the appetite of consumers to spend right now plenty of money in their pockets, you would think if you had plenty of stock, it would be a good time for the business. But quite clearly right now, the shareholders aren't happy and certainly investors on the stock market today weren't the happiest out there either.
On the subject of Black Friday, Ross, what are the sales expected to be like? Plenty of locked retailers will be hanging out for this, you would have thought.
Well, there's no doubt after lockdowns, it's a case whereby these retailers really need these sales coming through. Bear in mind a couple of things. Number one, that consumers have had higher house prices, and that generally makes people feel more, confident about their spending. The second thing is also that savings rates, as a result of, all the JobKeeper programs and so forth, the savings rate in Australia went through the roof, so people have the cash. So here's what the Australian Retailers Association and Roy Morgan are tipping, that over this 4-day period, which starts pretty much tomorrow. You'll all be seeing the inboxes full of Black Friday offers now. $5.4 billion worth of sales, which is bigger than the after Christmas sales, which are traditionally the biggest retail period. The other one also, the Commonwealth Bank, is tipping that week on week, this particular week will be 14% higher in terms of retail turnover than the week previous. That just shows you how significant it will be. But it's not just here, it's around the world, the United States especially, where these Black Friday sales take place. It really is about trying to stimulate demand at that time.
Finally, it's also looking like a very hot week for the property market. We're expecting the highest auction volumes on record this weekend across a few of the jurisdictions.
So this is the pent-up demand that's been coming for quite some time because people couldn't get to auction, particularly in the ACT, in Victoria, New South Wales, while the lockdowns were on. And even, say, for example, if you were trying to buy a property in Queensland and you were from those states and you weren't thinking about going overseas maybe, it was hard to actually buy a property. And so as a result now you've got more borders open and as a result the auction markets are coming on, especially while there is the demand for these properties. So you can see here just the scale of the auctions. Melbourne would be up probably 400 auctions on the previous week. Sydney would be up about 300 auctions on the previous week. So it is really very, very strong. But the interesting thing about this is that also helps to suppress even the prices. And the reason for that is obviously the more properties that are on offer, it's quite clear that the more choice that the buyers have. And so it tends to be that evens out some of these very significant price increases we've had, notwithstanding the ongoing record low interest rates in Australia.
So not a bad time to be throwing the flag up and bidding. Ross, thank you. Appreciate it.